Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Before I get this lesson started, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakagadash, and double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone of whom I learned from, and shalom to the hopeful elect, the 144,000 chosen, taking this truth to the four corners of the earth, bidding the elect spirits of Yasharallah to the marriage supper of the Lamb, who is Yahweh Shai, that's your brother Adah. So I usually don't do lessons on stuff. This is 2 weeks old. It's not old information, but this particular video was 2 weeks old, and I noticed it had 2.3 million views. This dude, I think this dude, if I'm just based off of his mannerisms, I think he's LGBTQ. I think he has that kind of vibration to him. He seems effeminate. But he reports, you know how this kingdom is. You got women speaking on stuff they're not qualified to speak on. You got nationality speaking on stuff they're not qualified to speak on. And then you got sexual orientations in this crazy world speaking on topics they're really not qualified to speak on. But that's how Esau's kingdom is. Everything's inverted. Everything's backwards. Everything is upside down. So there's some good information in this video. I want to let it play. I'm going to try not to comment as much as I can. I want to show the hypocrisy of this nation of people. The fact that they are incapable of any form of righteous balance, that they cannot judge themselves, because their laws that they established was for two purposes. It was to oppress the Hebrew Israelites that they renamed as Black, Latino, and Native American, and to oppress the other nations. And it was to hide themselves and to give them a veneer of righteousness, which goes into Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 10 all the way down. It describes the method and the intent, that how they write their laws, that the way they write their laws has got nothing to do with with the law of Moses, or the laws that the Most High gave to Moses to give to the children of Israel. It's to copycat that. It's to mimic it and to oppress the very people who were given the law, in an attempt to undermine their authority and to give the person who's imposing these wicked laws the appearance of righteousness. And that's exactly who and what the so-called white man is. His entire system, his entire philosophy of righteousness is based on skin color, which is also a social construct, and it's based on his mindset for the world. What he says is good and what he says is bad. And then as Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai lifts up his skirt and shows the world his nakedness, which is his transgressions and his abominations, his sins, we see that all of his people, whether they're on the bottom, in the middle, or all the way up at the top, they are all incapable of correcting their own madness, yet they want to tell you and the world how you are supposed to live your life. They will sit up all day and tell you about the sins of so-called black people all day long, but they cannot correct their own abominations, man. That's what I want to show you in this video, because here they are. They're talking about the stuff their people are doing, yet this is all they're doing. They're just talking about it. There's just no action. Nothing's getting done. It's a merry-go-round of Esau, Edom bullshit. Check this out.
We got some big Epstein news. There has been a breakthrough where an Epstein victim says that she has tapes of Donald Trump doing things that will force him to resign. And there must be something in the air, because Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and exposed the truth about Donald Trump and Epstein. And House Republicans are considering giving Ghislaine Maxwell clemency. I think all of these things are related. Let's get to Marjorie Taylor Greene first, who went viral for this speech she made about Donald Trump and how he reacted to her trying to get to the truth about Epstein.
So, wow. When we started talking about releasing the Epstein files, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. President Trump will just roll them out on a big cart himself. stacks and stacks and stacks of the Epstein files, because obviously Bill Clinton is all in there and Hillary Clinton.
And so remember too, just let me say this. This bitch is not fucking innocent. She's wicked as fuck. I believe she's controlled opposition. She's not dead, so she can say, this is one thing. This is a very skillful skill set that Esau has. There's always a handful of so-called white people that are resisting or crying out against the wickedness of all the other so-called white people. There's always this illusion of this struggle of good and evil amongst them. Have you ever noticed that? Yet the so-called white rulership continues to move forward, oppressing the inhabitants of the earth, lying about the true nationality of the Hebrew Israelites, and destroying and polluting the earth. They continue to move forward. Nobody ever goes to prison. Nobody ever goes to jail. No justice is ever brought. And then the Edomites that do come out, that do come up dead, they're always suicided. You know what I'm saying? And again, nobody ever goes to jail for those deaths. That they take care of their own shit that way. But they never go to prison. They never go to justice through their own judicial court system. Why? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 tells you why. That system is not set up to lock up their people. That system is set up to oppress the poor man, and the poor man is spiritual code word. It's spiritual dark saying for the Hebrew Israelites, the sons of God.
That's what I had been told all along, right? Well, it was the most shocking thing when I sat in a conference meeting and I learned that the president didn't want to release the Epstein files. I was like, what? Yeah, come to find out, he was very much against it. So we kept on trying and kept on talking about it. And then the president told Mike Johnson, no, do not bring that resolution to the floor for a vote. He told the Rules Committee, and Johnson told the Rules Committee, no, you will not mark up any bill in the Rules Committee that will allow the Epstein files to be released. And the resistance built and built and built. He told Pam Bondi, don't release the Epstein files. He told everybody, don't release the Epstein files. So we persisted. Because that's what we promised. That's what we campaigned on. Transparency and accountability, especially to pedophiles. How is that complicated? So it got to be such a gigantic...
I have a video. I did a lesson, Pam Bondi, she's being recorded, where she says it's thousands and thousands of videos of children with men and adults. And she's talking about it like it's no big deal, right? She's at a dinner table. Do I want to pull it up? Let me see. Hold on, man. Salakia. I think I even titled it that. Hold on. Who knows? Jacobson. Hold on. Okay, right here.
Hey,
hold on.
Oops. Tens of thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids. Tens of thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids. Tens of thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids. Tens of thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids. Tens of thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids.
And then I pull up Wisdom of Solomon 12, verses 3 down to 6, right? Talking about the Feast of Blood, because that's what it is. That's what it is. The satanic element of all this.
We have some big...
tell you, doing this, and
is what people don't understand. And you can see how Pan Bondi is just casually at dinner time. Oh yeah, we gotta go through, but it's tens of thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids. Like it's fucking like she's talking about the ingredients and a recipe on how to make a cake. I pulled that portion of the video out because just like that bitch knew and knows, so does this hoe that you see. Everybody that is high up knows what their own race of people is doing. They are brought up in this culture. They are taught and they are educated on how to play the left and the right, the good, the bad cop, the good cop, the bad cop. They understand that, she resigned, right? So she's still getting paid. She still gets to retire. She still gets to make money off of the position she held when she claimed that she didn't know that Trump, you catch what I'm saying? All she's doing is playing another role, acting like, oh, I'm against Trump. It's all bullshit, you guys. Esau has been doing this game since they started, bro. And nothing and no one has ever been brought to fucking justice, right? So what the Most High is doing is he's showing us who these people are. Even the low-level versions of them, when they're talking, what are they doing? They just want to put new white people in positions of power. Why? So they can continue on with their white America. This has nothing to do with the scriptures, with prophecy, with the blood of Yahushua, with the rulership of Yahushua, with the judgment of the wicked, with the day of the Lord, which is the Yahushua. They don't want that. They want their white privileged America back. That's all that white people want. They just want what it was. They want America back before COVID. They want pre-American Western civilization, pre-COVID reality. They want that. They want that back.
said, my friends are going to get hurt. He's on building, and I got a phone call from the president. And he was at the White House, and he wanted to talk to me about the discharge petition that I'd signed my name on. And he said, Marjorie, you're going to have to take your name off that discharge petition. We can't let, this is a hoax. We can't carry this. This is a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. And we've got to just put this away and stop doing this. And he said, my friends are going to get hurt. He said his friends would get hurt if we released the Epstein files.
Marjorie Taylor Greene went on and said this about being threatened by the president.
I sent him to all these people. I got no response from Susie Wiles. None. And she's a mother and a grandmother and a woman. I got no response from James Blair because he only cares about making money on campaigns. I did hear from Kash Patel. He said on it, but I haven't heard from him since. I don't know what he's on.
She was already laughing. She was already giggling before she said the punchline, because this shit's all scripted, and you can hear that fucking fat Edomite somewhere in the back. It's a fucking Hollywood studio, bro. They got this shit down to a science. It's so funny. The fuck out of here, man.
J.D. Vance was very nice to me, compassionate and kind, and reassured me that he would do everything we could to find out what's going on. And then I heard back from...
Notice how she made sure to tell you how amazing J.D. Vance is. Why? Because it's all psychological. Because once Trump is done, you can best believe J.D. Vance in the future, if this country has any more, he's gonna be positioned to be the next face of something. You can, dude. These motherfuckers are 10 steps ahead of everything, right?
Donald Trump. And I've saved these text messages. I'd probably get put in jail if I released them publicly, but I saved them. Where Donald Trump proceeded to tell me that it was my fault and that I deserve it. If my son gets killed, I deserve it because I was a traitor to him. That is our president of the United States.
I mean, it's a major confession right there, right? That's a major revelation of the method. Okay, she's revealing that, and you can best believe that they do talk like this to each other if and when they get too far out of bounds. And yes, you are betraying them. It's got nothing to do with the company, or it's got nothing to do with the country, well, / company. It's got everything to do with what? The great work, the Freemasonic oath, which is the covenant of death, which then goes all the way up to the higher echelons, which are your banking families, which is an allegiance to who? Satan. Because on the left-hand side, he's in control of all that. Of course, he's following the orders of Yahweh Shai, right, to lead the Edomites down the path of prophecy. But there is a protocol on that side that they have to follow by, just like there's a protocol for the prophets on the right-hand side. There's things we can't do. There's things we better not be doing, and there's things that we need to stop doing once we're told to stop doing, or some major consequences can take place, right? There's a protocol to this truth. We have to know the correct name of Yahweh Shai. We have to know the correct name of Yahweh. We have to listen to his prophets. There is an order in the kingdom on both the right and left-hand side. Okay? The hopeful elect listen to the voice. My sheep hear my voice. That voice goes into a doctrine. It's not just the sound of Yahweh Shai's voice. It's the things he specifically says, right? My sheep hear my voice. And how do we hear the voice of Yahweh Shai? Through the elders and the apostles, the great millstone. I am a witness. I know that my ear, that my ability to hear and understand intensified 1,000 times over because of my proximity to GMS. I know this for a fact. In my own personal life, when there is not a GMS member looking over my shoulder, watching what I'm doing, when I'm reading the scriptures, when I'm watching news, when I'm looking out through the lens of my eyes at life, and I'm being circumspect, and the precepts come to me, and I hear the Spirit speaking and leading me, I understand that because of my proximity to GMS, I can hear Yahweh Shai that much better. Why? I understand when I'm reading the scriptures that I got more understanding reading the scriptures because of my proximity to GMS. Why? Because that's a multitude of counselors. If I'm off, I can bring what I'm thinking or what I'm saying before these men, and I will get correction. And I'm in a position where I will receive correction. I'm not going to pull away the shoulder or stop the ear or scoff. I want to understand. I want to be in right standing, right? So as a result, I can hear better. And I know this. I knew this the minute they came over my algorithms on YouTube 7 years ago, and I began to listen to them. I began to see a major change and shift in my own personal life, and I was like, dude, it's because of them, and it's because they're connected to Yahweh Shai. So just like that applies to the right hand, it also applies to the left hand. There is a protocol. There is a set of rules on the left-hand side, but they're hidden. They're not out open. And this is why we see that they're not submitted to their own laws that they have for everybody else, because that's for them to oppress and govern over everybody else. It's not for them. They have a different set of laws they go by.
Get
ready for summer with exciting styles and savings during the living
to him. That is our President of the United States.
Now, as she said, Marjorie Taylor Greene was the general of MAGA. She was one of the leading soldiers in the movement. And for the President of the United States to come out and say that to her and try to gaslight Marjorie Taylor Greene about what was actually in the files and his unwillingness to release them, to me, is very interesting. I mean,
this is the best he can say about a so-called white man in office threatening the life of the son of a so-called white woman that is in office or was in office. That's the best they can say. Yet whenever you go into the fucking comment section of so-called black-on-black crime videos, what are these same people saying? They're foaming at the fucking mouth at the foolishness that takes place between Jake, right? Between the 2/3. But what are the 2/3? The 2/3 are a mere reflection of white supremacy. Believe it or not, so-called blacks, Latinos, acting out that ferocious, gangster type behavior on each other. Who are they mimicking? Look at all the gangster movies that Hollywood brought out. Goodfellas, Casino, all that shit, all the Godfather films. Are those movies not fucking based on true stories? You better fucking believe they are. What about World War I and World War II? What was all that shit? That was banking families murdering millions of people to shift the direction of the planet Earth to fit their own rulership, man. None of the wars that have ever taken place that have involved the so-called white man they were never based on anything righteous. And it was white on white crime. It was white people killing white people, bro. America, the little horn, was established how? They plucked up 10 of the horns on the beast, and they plucked up 3 of the 10 horns on the beast, and those 3 horns were Spain, France, and fucking Britain. Those are all white people. Those are all Edomites, so-called Europeans, and the section or the group of white men, George Washington, that established America were that little horn. And then what was the narrative? Oh, we came over here to pursue religious freedom. Again, showing you their skill set at lies and deception over 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago they knew we have to say a lie. We can't tell the truth on what we're doing. We're about to set up the most wicked nation. We got to make it sound like we're religious. They understood that they had to put that camouflage on their face half a fucking millennia ago. These motherfuckers are very skilled at lying, you guys.
We now know a lot more than we used to, and it's all looking like the President of the United States is very much so wrapped up in all of this. Now, we can't assert for sure because they've done a good job of hiding a lot of the evidence, but witnesses are still speaking up. Now, I'm going to go through what one Epstein victim has asserted that she knows about Donald Trump and Epstein. This is just her story that I am retelling. And we're also going to censor some of these words because otherwise YouTube tends to suppress these videos, and we don't want that. We want as many people to see them. So, Epstein victim says she has tapes of Donald Trump doing things that will force him to resign from the presidency. Jeffrey Epstein kept blackmail videos that showed Donald Trump having with many girls supplied by him, according to the latest bombshell claims in newly unsealed court documents. And the latest dump of papers made public last year are emails sent by Epstein victim Sarah Ransom to columnist Maureen Callahan in 2016. At the time, Callahan worked for the New York Post and was reporting on Epstein. Ransom claimed in those emails that Trump had sex with many girls, including a friend of hers who is not named, who she says also slept with Bill Clinton and Virgin billionaire Richard Branson. In 2016 email, Epstein victim Sarah Ransom told Maureen Callahan that her friend had sex with Trump, Clinton, and Richard Branson. She claimed Epstein took videos of the encounters, that she had seen the footage.
Now, I want to suggest something to you guys, too. Remember, Esau's very skilled at doing the revelation of the method and you know what I'm saying, telling you a portion of the truth. You got to understand, this is not only about sex. Let me say that again. This is not only about sex. You have to believe and understand that there are videos, okay? There are what they call snuff films, and then even those are not snuff films. You got to understand, what does it say in Wisdom of Solomon? What does Wisdom of Solomon 12 say? Okay, let's get that. Okay, so look, Malachi 1:4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. This is what the Most High calls this specific race of people, which means there is a section, there is a portion, there is an elect group, there is a elite group of people within this border of wickedness that can pull off some heinous shit that no one else is doing on the earth. And the people whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. So let's go back. Let's go to, I had pulled it up earlier. There we go. Wisdom of Solomon. We're going to read 3, 4, 5, and 6. So look, Wisdom of Solomon 12. For it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, whom thou hatest for doing most odious. The word odious is very hateful. For whom thou hatest for doing most hateful works of witchcraft. So these aren't just it's not just witchcraft, it's the worst forms of witchcraft. That's how you read that. And wicked sacrifices. And also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh, and the feasts of blood, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. There goes your network of adults. There goes your CIA, your FBI. There goes your families, your illuminated families that are in a secret network of people that are offering up children, so that these higher up priests, these higher up kings and priests and rulers on the left hand side can traffic in human blood. It's not just sex. It's not just sex, you guys.
And Richard Branson.
There are videos of them doing human sacrifices. And this is the part that they're not going to let that part out. You gotta make those conclusions. But I mean, someone's Yahweh Bashim is probably eventually going to make it come out. It's got to come out, because that's what they're doing. That's what the adrenochrome goes. In order for them to drink adrenochrome, someone has to die. What happens when people do? Let me see if I can paint a picture. What's that? Ayahuasca? What is that shit called? There's a very popular drug, ayahuasca. Watch this.
Ayahuasca is a psychoactive drink from the Amazon, made with Banisteriopsis caapi and Psychotria viridis. It uses MAOIs to allow DMT, a psychedelic, to be absorbed. People report altered states, vivid visuals, emotional processing, and physical symptoms. It's illegal in the U.S., except for some religious groups, and has health risks, so medical advice is recommended.
This is a very popular trend amongst the Edomites, and then of course other people do it because they do it. I want to suggest to you that this kind of a reaction, this psychoactive reaction of hallucinations, voices, and visions, I want to present to you that this is what happens when they drink the adrenochrome. When you murder, when you torture a child, when you have a system set up where you can torture a child, you have to believe that there are also ancient practices. There's symbolisms probably written on the floor. There's robes that they wear. There's certain types of incense they burn. There's drugs they take, you guys, when they're doing these types of ceremonies, these odious works of witchcraft. When you are torturing with intention a human child, a baby, you got to believe that the left-handed powers are close by. You cannot eliminate that aspect of the reality. There are left-handed powers that are present, so that when these people then finally decide to drain the child's blood, which is they're killing it, they're murdering that baby, and that baby's screaming, and the vibration of all of that, you got to understand how the vibrations work. The baby constantly screaming and sending out those shrieks from their mouth, from their tongue. That's a vibration. It's also tuning that blood. The blood that's in the baby's body while it's getting absorbed with all that fucking adrenochrome. When that person finally drinks that adrenochrome, for one, they're getting off on torturing the child. They've been having sex with the child, and then they finally release the child, right? That's all. They're getting off on all that, bro. There's a sexual perverted element to every stage of this reality. And then when they drink the adrenochrome blood, they get high. Well, what do you think is happening while they're high? Off of human baby blood. What do you think is happening? They're having a psychoactive encounter. They're getting a fucking download from a left-handed spirit while they are high. They're getting knowledge. They're getting the supernatural left-handed information. So you got to understand, this whole system, not only is it addictive for all these other fucking perverted reasons, they're also addicted to getting the knowledge from the left-handed powers that they're getting through this practice. The spirit I've been doing a bunch of lessons off and on for the past, 4 or 5 months. And as I've been studying, I've been learning more. And then the spirit's been showing me stuff. I was like, wait a minute. I've smoked weed and had hallucinations and got supernatural inspiration for stuff. I've done, I've done acid. I've been, I've been on methamphetamines. I have a past of drugs, and there's been an inspiration, bro. You can sometimes drink alcohol. You can sometimes have a buzz on yanya, right? And freaking have a freaking an inspired lesson. I've heard of people doing that. Certain substances can open up doors, bro. The adrenochrome drinking is not just blood, which is fucking insane in itself. And it's not just them feeling like they're high. No, there's another element. While they are high on a human chemical that was extracted through torture out of a child. Now think about how meth is made. How is marijuana? How do you you got to grow it, and then you got to burn it to get and then you got to inhale or eat to get the chemical into your body, right? Same thing with alcohol. How is alcohol? What's the process? What are all the formulas for how to make alcohol? You got to ferment yeast. You got to use certain types of wheat or barley, and then you got to have sugar, right? Then you got to put it in barrels. Same thing with liquor. There's a process for every type of alcohol. There's a process for pharmaceutical drugs. There's a process to make cocaine, from the coca leaf to cocaine base to coke powder to crack cocaine, right? Same thing with methamphetamines. There is a process to take elements from one element to another element. Well, now let's do the whole body. The body is a chemistry. The body is a chemical lab, bro. Human beings are walking chemical labs. You got adrenaline in your brain. Whoa, what the heck is something trying to close my throat when I'm talking about this? You got adrenaline, you got dopamine, you got what's another one? There's another one. There's dopamine, adrenaline, and then I think the adrenaline in the body, when it's been sitting in the blood long enough, then that's when it changes into adrenochrome. That's a change. It's a process that changes. And so you got to understand that once you do these elemental processes, you're inviting either the right hand or the left hand to be a part of that functionality, right? Okay, well, now you've been torturing a child all day. You got a kill room. You're in a system that's protected by the government, by the left-handed government of Esau. So you're comfortable and you're taking your time beating the shit out of this fucking child, burning him, cutting him, who knows what, bro, sodomizing him, just completely terrorizing his mind where his adrenaline is just secreting. And then you finally kill him and you drain his blood and then you drink the blood. That entire process, that blood is charged with a vibration, bro. And then you ingest that adrenochrome. What do you think is going to happen while you're high on that shit? You're going to see things. You're going to hear things. You're going to get a download of information. That is what these motherfuckers are doing, bro. It's not just sex. It's not just sex.
And Richard Branson, she claimed Epstein took videos of the encounters, that she had seen the footage. And here's actual evidence from that email. Saying here, when my friend had with Clinton, Prince Andrew and Richard Branson's tapes were in fact filmed on each separate occasion by Jeffrey. Thank God she managed to get a hold of some footage of the filmed tapes, which clearly identify the faces of Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Branson having course with her. Frustratingly enough, Epstein was not seen in any of the footage, but he was clever like that. Now, Ransom also claimed that Trump did this stuff during sex. I cannot say this out loud. I'm going to leave a screenshot here for you. We are going to put it up.
Let's read it real quick. Donald Trump liked flicking and sucking their nipples until they were raw. One evening when he was showering together, she showed me her nipples. They looked incredibly painful as they were something and swollen, and I remember wincing when I looked at them. I also know she had sexual relations with Trump at Jeffrey's New York mansion on regular occasions, as I once met Jen for coffee. just before she was going to meet Trump and Epstein together at his mansion.
Up for a moment. Perhaps if you want to pause and read this, please go ahead. But if I read this out loud, I do feel like YouTube would delete the actual video. So we're just going to leave this up here for a second. It's disgusting. It's not unlike other things that we've heard asserted that Donald Trump has done. And it's just another, to me, evidence point that there's something going on here with Trump and Epstein. Now, Michael Wolff actually came out just yesterday. So there's been a huge movement in this story. And here's what he'd say about Ghislaine Maxwell and Trump. And as I said, Republicans in the House may be moving forward with some sort of clemency for Ghislaine after this came out.
Now, this is a key issue right now in the way the White House is looking at the Epstein scandal. The fear is...
And this is not the Epstein scandal. This is the Edomite scandal. This is the Esau scandal. This is the so-called white man as a whole scandal. This is who they always have been. They did these things to us during slavery. They have not changed. They've always been this way. They will always be this way. They cannot change. They cannot vote themselves into redemption. They cannot pay off or pay off and purchase their own redemption. I'm going to pull the one precept that Yahweh comes back to destroy them. I'm going to pull two of them. That shows you what must happen, but they can't correct this. They are merely being exposed. The Most High is making inquisition of them, like the prophet, the angel Uriel said to the prophet Ezra in Second Ezra's. Inquisition is being made. It's a judicial investigation. We are being shown who these people are, and they can't correct themselves. This is a national seed line issue with them. They're being exposed as a race of people. This is not a party or what do they call this? Trump's term in office. This is them as a system. It's all of them, man.
That Ghislaine Maxwell can tie Donald Trump to the details of what Trump and Epstein called the Pussy Committee. The Pussy Committee consisted of Trump and Epstein in their efforts to get girls for Prince Andrew.
Yeah, and that is one reason why it might be that Republicans are moving forward what The Guardian is reporting on is clemency for Ghislaine. A House panel is actually divided on whether Trump should pardon Maxwell so she can cooperate with the Epstein investigation. This is how it happens, folks. This is how it happens. They're starting to make the permission structure happen in real time. Recent reporting that a pardon for Maxwell is now being discussed supportively in some circles, however.
Honestly, you guys, I don't believe she's even in prison. I believe it's all fake. She is not sitting up somewhere in jail. It's all a fucking act. We never once saw her handcuffed. They only showed you drawings of her. And there's been videos of someone that looks like her walking around. Dude, she's not in prison. It's all bullshit, bro.
Has highlighted how Epstein and Maxwell remain a political minefield.
She's too powerful, bro. She's related to too many powerful people to be sitting up in jail while the rest of them sit out there and eat their fucking food and tan on beaches. There's no fucking way, bro, she's in prison. There's no way.
For Republicans and Donald Trump, while presenting yet another blow to survivors' fight for transparency. News broke in late April that representatives on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee had split opinions on whether the president should pardon the convicted trafficker Maxwell so she could cooperate with their investigation into Epstein. Said one person, any talk of clemency of Ghislaine Maxwell in exchange for testimony turns justice on its head. It risks rewarding the very person who helped enable abuse. And it says here, too, that while Congress has no power to grant a pardon.
And then also the whole fact that she's supposedly in jail. The whole thing, plus she was the woman, right? There were no men in jail. Yeah, she was helping him, but the whole thing is upside down. But what does it do? It gives the illusion that Esau, Edom, is a righteous person because, hey, look, She's in jail. It's all bullshit, bro. It's all bullshit.
And even entertaining that conversation signals to victims that their suffering is still being treated as secondary to political strategy. Justice should never be transactional when it comes to crimes of this magnitude. And this to me, all of this to me is like, they want a story like this out here. They want this story out here. Why? Because we're past the point of being like, of course he shouldn't do it. They're serving up a narrative of like, oh, they're debating, like as if like there's anything to debate. So it moves the goalpost a little bit closer towards giving her clemency or Donald Trump pardoning her. They just need enough of permission structure for Donald Trump to have some sort of umbrella away from accountability. Said another way, if Donald Trump were to pardon her, the way that this story is making it looked out to be is that he's doing it to help victims. When really, we know that one, Maxwell is a liar. Two, Donald Trump would only do this to make it so that liar will lie for him. And three, there is so much mounting evidence in all of this that it is so clear that there is something that we are not being told. There are so many stories about Donald Trump. There are videos, there are videos, pictures that are not being released that we have been told many times exist. And perhaps that video one Epstein victim said exists. Perhaps it's in the 40 terabytes of video within the Epstein files that have not been released.
And just finally, Tara, do you think we're going to see the remaining 3 million documents in the Epstein files? Because it does seem quite extraordinary that half of the files just haven't been made public. I mean, I can't think of anything less transparent.
Actually, more than that, Piers, if you count the 40 terabytes of video, I mean, that would answer so many questions. And we know from emails within the FBI that they're sitting on this. And I don't know how we're ever going to get this without either.
And you know, what is all that evidence? It's all Edomites doing wicked fucking shit in a system that they control and that they set up, which also tells you that it was all premeditated and something they've been doing this entire time. They have been arresting so-called black people, so-called Latinos and Native Americans. This entire time they have been telling you that the black male is the hyper super predator, that it's in our genetic makeup to be criminal, that there's something wrong with us. The entire time they have been spreading these accusations and these categories, which is what the devil does. That's what the accuser of the brethren's definition in the scriptures is. He puts you in a category, then he judges you. Goes into Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 again. They've been going around the whole world on news telling you that so-called black people, because they're black, are just natural born criminals, and that white people, because they're white, are righteous. Yet you got all this physical evidence inside their own system showing you that during their entire rulership, what were they doing? They were torturing and raping underage children and draining them of their adrenochrome and drinking the shit to get demonic information and to have a younger body. Black on black crime is bad, you guys. What the Northern Kingdom does to itself in the prison systems and in the streets of LA and the cartels in Mexico, it's just fucking horrible. It's not what the fuck Esau's doing. And Esau has all the money, has all the power, has all the military, and has all the wealth and the image of a good person, and yet this is what they still do. How do you explain that, bro? How do you explain it? They got money and they do this shit. It's because of the border of wickedness, man. And here they are confessing to you that the FBI, which is what? The FBI is an authoritative, they're a law enforcing agency. They have evidence of Edomites murdering children and they're not prosecuting them. But they want to come and arrest black people. They want to come and arrest Latinos. They want to arrest you for driving down the road and having a tail light out, and then they start pushing the envelope. Well, we gotta check your car, and he's got a weapon. When the guy reaches for his phone and they shoot you 75 times. Or they beat the shit out of you on camera in prison, 9 white cops, 9 white prison guards beating the shit out of a handcuffed so-called black man, right? They get to do this shit over and over and over again, yet their entire judicial system has evidence, terabytes of evidence of wealthy Edomites doing heinous shit to children, but they're not going to go to jail, man. We're going to get the precepts on what's going to happen to these people, man, because they can't do it and they won't do it.
Or whistleblowers, maybe some of the lawsuits against the DOJ will stand, but it's really baffling, and I don't know that the next administration is going to want.
See, that's the administration. There's no administration is going to fix what the last administration did, because the administration sits inside of the beast system, and the beast system is controlled and ruled by the Edomites, the so-called white man. The so-called white man, the system, his rulership, he has to be brought down and made to sit on the ground.
To release them, because everyone looks so bad. And I think it would just place so much doubt in the Department of Justice and create so much suspicion. And I think it really reveals, national security concerns, etc. How is Epstein related to national security concerns? Because that's why they're withholding those millions.
Yeah, well, that is such a great point, that the Epstein files should absolutely be released, and there's no national security implications. If there are, then whoever is close to our country that might be implicated by this should probably no longer be in power, and should be, if they have committed any crimes, justice should find them. I mean, we are truly the only country in the world that has people in these files that has not had any charges against them. I'm thinking of even England has been able to strip Prince Andrew from his title. So that's just one thing they've been doing. There's been many people.
That's not justice. Oh, his title. Oh, you're no longer Prince Andrew. Oh, what? What kind of... So these people are incapable of righteous balance concerning themselves. This is why the scriptures say what they say. Let's just get it, man. Fuck this. Look, Isaiah 63. Who is this? Look, Yahweh will and is going to send his son, Yahweh Shai, to destroy these people. This is the determination. This is Yahweh Shaphat. Isaiah 63, verse 1, Salakia. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Basra is the chief city of Edom. It's talking about America. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Verse 2, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? He's covered in blood. Whose blood? Verse 3, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. Verse 4, for the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. This is what's going to happen to Esau, Edom, okay? Let's get it. 2nd Ezra 13. Let's pull it up and then go all the way down to the bottom. Close. 37. Hold on. Oops. Salakia. Well, yeah. This is him coming. So look. And it came to pass after 7 days, the second Ezra 13. This is the chariot. This is the UFO and the company of UFOs with the hosts of heaven coming out of the sky to wage war. This is Revelations 12. This is how Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai is going to deal with this so-called race of people, because they're not going to do it themselves, and nobody on the earth is strong enough to put them in check. They have to be destroyed. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea. This sea is talking about the firmament up in heaven, that it moved all the waves thereof, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. So he's coming from the sky. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, his doctrine, what he has to say about the situation. He doesn't give a fuck about what the white man is saying about the situation, because he ain't saying nothing about the situation. Like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. Verse 5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men. This is Armageddon. Out of the number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. They're going to attempt to stop Yahweh Shai from getting his rulership. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. That's the UFO. But I would, that's the fathership. But I would have seen the region or the place where the hill was graven, and he couldn't see the edge of the ship because it was so huge. Verse 8. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, yet they did fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth. So he gives the command, and this is an order that he's speaking over them, at them, from the chariot, everything he knows about them, everything they have ever done. And he's declaring everything written about them in Scripture, every judgment that was written about them in prophecy. It's all coming out of his mouth. And it's coming out of his mouth in the form of fire, bro. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Verse 11, and as they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon this, all of a sudden, of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Yahweh Shai consumes them with the brightness of his coming in one blast. Now, the elites are going to be in their trillion-dollar underground bunkers watching this from satellite video, and they're going to know they're done. And then Yahweh Shai is going to beam up the remainder, or the elite, the elect, and then the missiles are going to get launched and then completely destroy America in front of everyone. And then as the elect are getting their glorified bodies and having the marriage supper of the Lamb on the chariot, we don't know how long that's going to take, but once that's done, then he sends down the glorified men in their new bodies, and they subdue the entire planet Earth underneath the rulership of Yahweh Shai and King David, and then begins the punishment of Esau, Edom, and all the other nations that go into 1,000 years of slavery because they're worthy of it. Once the 1,000 years is over, Esau as a whole is completely destroyed because they're worthy of it, and the other nations are released to then begin their kingdoms underneath the rulership of of Yahweh Shai, and the 144,000 chosen, and the innumerable elect. That's what's going to happen. This shit that they're talking.
There's been many people.
Get the fuck out of here, bro. It's a fucking merry-go-round of fuckery. That's all it is with this race of people. They got smoke when it comes to you stealing a $5 piece of bubblegum. And our people don't need to be doing this shit. But they'll show Jake stealing from a Macy's. Someone will record a bunch of skinny fucking dreadheaded Jakes running around stealing all, and you got the comments full of fucking every monkey fucking racist comment in the world. But with this shit, these fucking people, look at these assholes. There's not a racist comment in here. There's not a racist comment in here. Oh, it's obstruction of justice. Edomites are incapable of judging their own race, bro. They're only good at talking shit about you. Crimes against children or crimes against humanity. Oh, but you ain't gonna do shit. Unbelievable. What does it take to bring these people to justice? Obviously, you can't do it. People dangling these like carrots in our faces is becoming exhausting. We are in a lawless land now. Release everything you all have. The truth will set you free. 2,500 likes. Malignant abusers gaslighting America. 1,600 likes. But they're not going to do shit. Why? Because they can't. So I pray that this lesson was edifying. These people are incapable of judging themselves. So Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushua is going to send Yahweh Shai to judge them, and it's going to be violence. I pray that this lesson was edifying. I will give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushua, Ba'Hashem Rakadash, and double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, of whom I learned from Mr. Brother Adah. Shalom.